The £300 Berghaus jacket and the £85 Regatta waterproof hang on the same rail in the same outdoor retailer. Different badges, wildly different prices. And in 2012, VF Corporation, the American conglomerate that already owns the North Face and Timberland, bought Berghaus for the heritage, not for the hill walker. The expeditions that built the name became a marketing asset, not a manufacturing standard. 6 hiking clothing brands charging you for the badge, 3 actually engineered for the trail. The one that will shake you first is Berghaus, because Berghaus genuinely earned the name. That part matters. Founded in Newcastle in 1966, they invented the modern day sack, introduced Gore-Tex to British hill walkers, and dressed expedition teams going to places most people only read about. That legacy is real. The gear that built the name was serious gear, trusted by people making serious decisions about what they wore in serious mountains. Then VF Corporation bought them, and something shifted. Not in one visible announcement, Berghaus moved production offshore, DWR treatments thinned, seam sealing on mainstream jackets became the known weak point, not one catastrophic failure. The creeping kind that reveals itself 3 hours into a Highland winter walk when your base layer is suddenly damp at the shoulders. The name still carries the mountain authority it built before 2012. The manufacturing doesn't always follow. Sit with that. They sold you the legacy. They sold the company that built it more than a decade ago. First thing I check on, any waterproof jacket, full seam taping or critical seam taping. Berghaus publishes this in the specification. Read it before you read the price tag. Craighoppers makes the point louder. The Nottingham brand spent 30 years positioning itself as technical travel and hiking clothing at democratic prices. That positioning was accurate when it mattered. The problem is what happens when democratic pricing meets consolidated corporate ownership and the cost pressure never lets up. The Regatta Group acquired Craighoppers in 2004, folding it inside a portfolio alongside Dare, 2B and Regatta 3 brands under one roof, sharing manufacturing, infrastructure, supply chains, and the same pressure to cut costs. Nothing wrong with group ownership on its face. The problem comes when you track one product across time and watch the construction change. The Craighoppers Kiwi Pro trouser has a proper following. Serious ramblers swear by it. The Kiwi that earned that following was built to a specification since adjusted for margin. Zips have changed. Fabric weights have shifted. The trouser still works for casual use. You are now paying for a product that has been quietly made cheaper several times while the price stayed the same. That gap between what the legacy earned and what the current construction delivers is where the brand is charging you for a promise the product no longer fully keeps. Think about that and hold that thought. The next one borrowed a reputation, it earned below the ankle and spent it somewhere it had never been tested. Merrell is the American import that conquered UK outdoor retail and then demonstrated exactly how a beloved trail footwear brand expands into clothing and loses its authority completely. Merrell's footwear built genuine credibility on the trails of this country. The Moab alone has put more people on more UK trails than almost any other single product in the category's history. So when the clothing line arrived, it inherited a halo it had not built and had not earned with a single fell walk. Merrell clothing sits inside the Wolverine worldwide portfolio alongside Hush Puppies, Wolverine boots and cat footwear. A conglomerate managing premium outdoor performance alongside work boots, alongside comfort shoes, alongside heritage American workwear brands. The clothing benefits from the shoe brand's 40 years of trail trust. The clothing's technical credentials have never needed to match that because the shoe brand is doing the selling, the waterproofing is entry level. The layering system is designed around a marketing narrative rather than around how heat and moisture actually move through a human body working uphill in October rain. You are paying for a logo that earned its authority below your ankle and is now quietly collecting that credit somewhere it has never spent a single day building. That is a fine thing to want. Just call it what it is. The next one at least knew what it was and then forgot. Regatta is the one that had the honesty not to pretend it was something it wasn't and then began pretending anyway. Regatta is a volume play at its core, and for years the brand understood that about itself. The Bradford company produces large quantities of outdoor clothing at prices the mass market can genuinely reach, and that serves a real social purpose. Affordable weatherproofing for casual walkers who are not spending their Saturdays on technical ridgelines is not a cynical product. The problem is the positioning creep that arrived as the outdoor market expanded and the marketing vocabulary got borrowed without the construction to back it up. Isotex waterproofing sounds like a membrane system. Read the specification. It is a house brand polyurethane coating applied to the fabric surface. House brand coatings delaminate faster under sustained use than a proper bonded membrane, breathe less effectively when you are generating heat on a climb, and wash out sooner. When you see a £40 jacket described as technical hiking performance gear, the word technical is working very hard and delivering very little. Regatta makes affordable clothing for casual weekend walking in moderate conditions. What it is and what it says it is have drifted. That distance matters when you are 3 miles from the car in November and the rain has found a way through. Columbia presents the cleanest case study in what scale does to product integrity over time. Portland, Oregon. The company, the Boyle family, rebuilt from a hat shop into a genuine outdoor brand, the Bugaboo Parker. Omni-Tech waterproofing, Omni-Heat reflective lining. Real innovations that delivered real protection at accessible prices for people who wanted serious gear without a mountaineer's budget. Then the growth imperative arrived and became permanent. Columbia Sportswear Company now runs Columbia, Mountain Hardwear, Sorel, and Prana, 4 brands across 4 market positions under one corporate structure. Mountain Hardwear was built to be the serious alpinist's technical answer to the North Face. It now shares a parent company with a fashion-forward lifestyle activewear brand. Mountain Hardwear and Prana are not the same brand. They are now the same budget meeting. Sit with that. Resources follow volume. The mid-range has been quietly adjusted toward retail margin. And once you see the parent company structure operating across multiple price points, you cannot unsee it in a single shop aisle. One company buying its way across the full price ladder, then quietly aligning the parts that cost it money. One boardroom, many badges. Every brand I just named has a marketing team. What they don't have is my incentive to read the spec sheet instead of the press release. The 3 that remain have each made the opposite choice at real commercial cost to themselves, and the specification sheet shows it. Paramo, a Dartmoor-designed Colombian-sewn waterproof system built since 1992 on a single principle, design something that works when the mountain stops cooperating. The Nikwax analogy fabric works on a fundamentally different principle from any membrane waterproof in the UK market. A bonded membrane fights water at the surface and transmits moisture at stress points under sustained loading. The analogy system pumps water away from your body, not a membrane you trust to hold. A system that actively moves moisture. There is a difference when the pressure is sustained and the ridge is 3 hours away. The Paramo is heavier than a modern membrane jacket, bulkier than anything a fast packer would choose for a summer ridge. It requires Nikwax TX, direct wash-in treatment rather than a standard machine cycle. On a saturated Scottish hillside in January, in the kind of sustained horizontal rain that would have most membrane jackets transmitting moisture at the shoulder seams by hour 3, the Paramo keeps working because it is not fighting the water, it is redirecting it. The lifetime repair guarantee covers structural failure, zip replacement, reproofing for the life of the garment, airline damage, even owner fault, no receipt required, no coverage that narrows every few years when no one notices. Read that list. Every item on it is something a brand in the first half of this video removed. They service what they manufacture. The company holds fair trade certification for its entire Colombian production operation. That supply chain accountability adds real cost to every unit produced. You are paying for that cost, and you are paying for a system that functions when the mountain has stopped cooperating. Alpkit, Nottingham, started in 2004, direct to customer from the beginning, no wholesale chain extracting a margin, no distributor, no conglomerate overhead, no investor timeline requiring a return. The Gravitas down jacket won awards before it found volume. The Hunker Bivy bag appears on mountain rescue teams' kit lists because it performs, not because of a sponsorship arrangement. Their Gore-Tex shell delivers a specification that retails at £150 less than a comparable spec from any brand in the first half of this video. No house brand terminology covering a reduced construction, no marketing vocabulary borrowed from a heritage the product cannot match. They went from a spare room operation to supplying mountain rescue teams and winning Gear of the Year awards without ever taking outside investment or raising the price beyond what the product justifies. The brand faces the customer because there is no structure between them to face. Instead, that is rarer in this market than it should be. Rab Sheffield. Founded by Rab Carrington in 1981 with a single brief, equipment that does not fail when the conditions are trying to kill you. Rab is owned by Equip Outdoor Technologies, a private company that also holds Low Alpine and has kept both brands technically independent of each other and independent of the volume pressures that softened construction decisions at every brand. In the first half of this video, the Neutrino Pro down jacket has gone to Himalayan faces where the margin for insulation failure is not a refund conversation. The Xenon X delivers alpinist level construction at a price point accessible to the hill walker who is not planning Himalayan objectives but still wants the result. The Positron Pro sleeping bag is a reference item. Every product specification is published completely. Baffle structure, fill power, zip drainage, hood geometry, functional decisions made by people who test the gear in the conditions it will face. When a Rab product fails, Rab repairs it. No lengthy claims process, no receipt requirement, no coverage that narrows every few years when no one notices. When you're deciding which zipper goes on a Rab jacket, that decision is made by someone who has lost a zipper on a mountain, not someone tracking unit cost reduction. That is what a durability brand looks like before anyone has explained that durability is the most expensive promise you make. Now, think about the direction of travel. Berghaus got acquired by a conglomerate and the construction moved backward. Alpkit stayed independent and the construction stayed honest. Rab stayed private and stayed technical. Paramo stayed small and stayed committed to the system that works even when it is expensive to maintain. One direction tells you how the product performs next season. The other tells you it already changed and you didn't notice until you were wet. Paramo walked its warranty forward, Berghaus walked it back. One of those directions tells you the company is facing the customer. The other tells you it's facing the shareholder. You aren't paying for the jacket, you are paying for the name on the jacket, the name your grandfather trusted when it meant something was built to last. That version of the product is gone. I'm Bill. I read the spec, not the label.